Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest, best, greatest episode, the spoopy episode, because I think this one is the last one we're doing in October, so shout-outs to Halloween. This is Game Rivals, as always. I am one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and together with me, as always, is the haunting of the PlayStation 4, the guy who wants all the faceplates on his PlayStation 5, Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
It's going good after getting all those titles. Thank you.
I always try to make it a little bit interesting, bring in the spice, as always.
I think today we're not going to be the most interesting part about this episode because we have a special guest. So yes. Maybe you should do the honors and introduce him.
All right. So, as we teased in the last episode, we're having a special guest today with us. He's a fellow Dutchie like us. You may have seen his work on Go Nintendo or with GameXplain or I think Nintendo Life?
No, Nintendo World Report.
Right, Nintendo World Report. It's none other than Dan. Hey, Dan.
I like how you do this entire introduction and then you call me Dan.
Hold
on. Let me break this down for you, right?
Yeah.
We're Dutch, so you know how to pronounce it.
Yes, I do.
B, I have made sure that every American I interact with pronounces it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, no.
My apologies, Daan. Welcome, Daan.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened. I just switched into full American mode, which is really weird for me, by the way.
It's funny because obviously for Europeans it's easy to say Daan because they're more familiar with Dutch or German or more Western European names.
Mm-hmm.
For Americans, it's interesting because they don't see the second A like at all. For some reason whatsoever. So I always have to point out that it's for them Dahn in that sense.
Huh.
So they understand roughly how to pronounce it that way. The only ever American who got it right the very first time was Dan Reichert, formerly of Giant Bomb and now of WWE Podcast. He went to WWE for some reason. But that guy, I met him because I gave him like a Waluigi hat and some stroopwafels.
Nice.
Because we met each other during E3, and he was like the first American ever who got my name right, like the first time instantly. I was like entirely shocked.
Okay, wow, that's impressive. He did it better than me. So welcome. Could you introduce yourself a little bit more about what you do in general, where people may have seen your work elsewhere?
Yeah, sure. So I've done stuff for GameXplain, Go Nintendo, Nintendo World Report, a Dutch website called N1, or NA Nintendo, which this year also celebrates its 20th anniversary, so go us. And now I'm taking a bit of a sabbatical, like a short sabbatical, doing some different things, like playing also some different platforms I didn't really have the time to. And also like starting up some new things. I recently joined Source Gaming.
Oh, wow.
Nice. In addition to that, I also do stuff with the YouTube channel called Commonwealth Realm. We're making more timeline videos and what have you. So I'm doing more creative things at the moment, which I didn't really have time for. So I'm taking an indefinite sabbatical, at least from, say, Go Nintendo, because I was doing that like 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really intensive. So it's kind of nice to have more of a flexible schedule where you actually have time to play games, because it's not all sunshine. When people think, oh, you talk about games, you must play a lot of games, right? During the last 3 years, half of my time was just covering the website, so I had very little time to even play games. Which I want to say it wasn't really healthy anymore. Like it wasn't really helping me in the long run. So I'm taking a different approach to how I do things. Still, the baseline of stuff like reviews and stuff, but also focusing on stuff that I really didn't have time for before. So stay tuned for that, I guess.
All right.
But
cool to hear.
It's and that's something that I want people to take to heart. And maybe this is sort of a short tangent. But I think that especially content creators or people who do a lot of talking about video games for a living don't play enough for fun anymore. And I realized that, like, middle through this entire pandemic situation, that I was focusing on work way too much and not playing much for fun. Like, I bought a copy for Final Fantasy VII Remake on day one. I only played that 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So I honestly think if you take anything away from this podcast, please take this following to heart. Just take a break and play something for fun once in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you also have these moments where you're just kind of fatigued with games and that you just try to do other things like, other hobbies, or?
Yeah, there are definitely moments like that. Like, I'm a gigantic music buff, so I like to listen to a lot of soul and jazz. And in addition, I once in a while I like watch a movie in the theaters, which obviously can't really do right now. But binging a lot of Netflix, mostly also a lot of anime stuff because I don't know, it just feels good.
That I can 100% agree with.
But yeah, it's now taking also a bit more time and actually playing games because once again I felt like I was doing that too little.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no problem. All right, so with that out of the way, let's jump into the news segment. There's finally a lot of more stuff about PlayStation 5 that we can talk about because they've been finally doing stuff publicly, which, Microsoft has been doing with the Series X. There's a company that, as I said before in the beginning of this intro, is making custom side plates for PlayStation 5. And they actually look really nice and premium.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know if you got a chance to see those, Dan. Wow, I suddenly switched to Dutch. Wow, that is going to be a mental exercise. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen them yet, but they look really nice, really premium. Especially, there's a chrome version. Well, okay, maybe not the chrome version. There was a blue version that looked really nice. Kind of reminds me of a PlayStation blue color, so it fits the whole aesthetic of it. But the black one also, because everybody's like, oh, like a whole black outer shell with the inside and the blue lights would look really cool. Sure. And yeah, they have that as well, like a matte black version that just looks really cool. At least in the renders, it looks cool because they don't have. I don't think the website actually has like actual pictures on PlayStation 5s just yet, but they look really nice. The prices are also pretty decent. I think the average price is like 35 euros, if I'm not mistaken. So that looks nice.
Here's directly the danger of that, right? We indeed have not seen them on PlayStation 5. We don't know if they will exactly fit or how they will exactly are putting apart and putting back together. Because obviously it seems likely that you can remove the blades. That's not really the issue. The issue really is that they haven't really been able to test on a full retail PlayStation 5 yet. So kind of focusing on the fact that they would need a retail PlayStation 5 to test it, because I'm sure they didn't get any direct approval from Sony to already do this.
Did they? I don't remember that part. I think they're like an official. I don't think it's like officially licensed, but it's basically like with. Well, I mean, basically, if you look at other tech stuff, you tend to see accessories made for them way in advance.
Yeah.
Because they tend to get either molds or something like that, or specs from the manufacturer of those things, so they can make so they can make them in advance so that they can have these accessories out on time.
Yeah, but it also comes back to the same issue of, for example, using a custom dock on Switch or relying on a third-party controller on every other platform ever. Like, sure, it could work, but it's never 100% guarantee it will work.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thanks for reminding me of that. Wow, that was a really bad turn early on in the Switch lifecycle when all these third-party docks went out.
I remember.
They ended up bricking a lot of them.
So I remember a good story here. So everybody knows here in this call, because we're Dutch, knows Game Mania. They are basically the GameSpot of the Netherlands here.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually selling a custom dock for a little while there, and I actually called the community manager from, hey, are you sure this is safe? And literally 2 weeks later, they were pulled off shelves.
Wow.
Oh no. Oh wait, was this like early in the Switch's life cycle, or
No, this was like mid 2018.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Huh. Well, considering that even during the teardown, it looked a bit difficult to get the side plate stuff off.
Well, you have to lift it up you have to lift up a part of the panel, and then you can just slide it off. So it's
you have to lift it up in a very specific angle. At least that's the way it seemed to me.
I would guess that it's just held in place by let's say like
yeah, there's some hooks in there.
Something like a mushroom clip, and then you just pop it off, so it comes out of the clip, and you can slide it off.
Oh no, they're like hooks in them.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, with these things, I would just say put it. I was thinking maybe I'll just spray paint my own. I love the matte black one. I thought like, maybe I can just pick up the side panels and then just paint it myself. I think a lot of people will probably do that.
Here's also an interesting quote. Do we really think the PlayStation 5 looks that bad?
No. I think just
I know.
Well, Sean has like a specific
I know what I'm
take.
saying here, because a lot of people prefer just having pure black on their PlayStation consoles. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But does it really look that bad?
With the white, no, it doesn't.
No.
The problem is the size.
It reminds me of a stormtrooper. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think it's because people have traditionally gotten used to a black PlayStation because it's 2, 3, 4.
Obviously, yeah.
And I think it's that, and maybe also because the Xbox Series X is black. I think, yeah. I mean, Sony has said itself that because of the way the PS5 is built, it will give them a lot more options to customize and come up with special editions, which are a lot more different than what we're used to. Funny thing is also that there was this Sony catalog floating around a while back, which had all sorts of Sony products in it.
Sure.
And there was a Miles Morales themed PlayStation 5 in it. So I think that also kind of got people excited because they were like, oh, wow, the light is red and the whole PlayStation is black and the controller was black. And everybody suddenly got excited because it kind of gave them hope. So I think, yeah, people are not used to the white, and that's why people are like, change, and people always handle change differently.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to a certain extent, that's obviously true. But I guess, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. They are saying on their website that they are guaranteeing getting a day and date with your PlayStation 5. We'll see. And they ship internationally, so again, we'll see. Hopefully they fit and they're fine. I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait for the reviews on those.
Do we even know where this company is based out of?
I think I'm on the site now. There are... Yeah, that's a very good question. Doesn't seem to say. I'm assuming they are based in the US. But odds are they're probably shipping it from like China or something.
Their customer care hours are GMT.
Oh, so the UK based.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay.
At least in Europe.
Yeah,
okay,
their refund policy seems like a UK refund policy.
Huh. And that actually makes way more sense than it being an American company, by the way.
Maybe that they're just drop shipping.
Yeah.
It might, yeah.
All right. Speaking of PlayStation 5, let's continue on the train. They finally showed the UI in a very nice and pretty comprehensive video. There's a lot of stuff that's changing, a lot of stuff that's very cool. Nothing like quick resume or anything, but still very neat. Have you guys? I mean, Sean, you've already seen it. Don,
Yeah.
did you see it?
Hmm.
What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed what they are doing with the UI. My problem with PlayStation consoles for the longest time since PlayStation 3 is I don't think the UI is very comprehensive. If you look at, say, the competition with Nintendo and Xbox, one thing they've always been doing is keeping it simple and straightforward to the point. With the XMB on PlayStation 3, I really enjoyed the XMB, but if you want to find like immediate access to a certain function, it would take a while. PlayStation 4, everything was loaded between two bars, and all the main bars were split into also different side options, which also didn't make it exactly easy to find stuff. Um, what I think is interesting about, like, first of all, the control center of PlayStation 5, where you hop out of a game, get immediate access to the options that you need. That is so incredibly helpful. I'm not sure how intrusive the cards will be, because there is very much a very sliver in my head that sees the cards and think, oh god, they're gonna fill up the screen instead of the things that I immediately need at that point, right? But at the same time, I think the overall design of the control center is much more fluid, and also immediately allows you to hop into your friends list and what have you, which I think is the most important thing for a UI function like that.
Yeah.
And then the main one where you go from completely from a cold boot, where you see like the same similar options, but also see what the game is all about, the immediate options for that game. What do you need to know before going into it? I think that feels a lot more immediate than it was there, and having a separate sidebar for media apps is so important because Microsoft has been doing that since the beginning of Xbox One. And it feels insane to me that Sony, with all the prowess they have on the Sony Bravia TVs and what they do, they haven't been able to figure that out yet for the longest time.
I think part of it is because when the cross media bar came out for the PlayStation 3, like they really hung out onto that for everything that they did. So not just for the PlayStation 3, the
Oh, I
PSP
know,
had a
yeah.
cross media bar.
Also, all
some
their
of their
TVs
TVs
split,
had
yeah, all their
yeah
TVs at
had
the
the
time
cross.
had it too, yeah.
Yeah, like my parents have an old Sony Bravia TV, and that has it as well. So like, oh, this is familiar. And I think because of that, all the things that I've done with their UI design is modify it. I like the control center because it's an overlay,
Mhm.
but because it's an overlay, it didn't seem like it paused the game. So you have to go back to the main menu of the PlayStation 5 to have it suspend gameplay, because
Mhm.
otherwise you just have that overlay of the control center, and then all the cards that you're seeing.
Right.
The one thing that I am curious about is that since we do know that the UI is 1080p, are the cards when in control center also 1080p, or
The
do
UI is
they scale up
4K.
to 4K?
The UI is not 1080p. The UI is 4K.
Yeah, the 4K.
Wait, which one?
Yeah, the
So on
UI
Oh,
is
sorry,
4K.
Xbox,
I'm confusing it with
yeah,
the Series X. That one is
yeah,
1080p.
it's 4K HDR, and
Yeah,
they're,
right, right,
that's
right.
like a big focus for them.
My bad, my
Even
bad.
even if it wasn't 1080p, I don't think you could tell the difference, to be honest.
Well, you might. I mean, I have a 4K monitor, and if I play, sometimes games revert to 1080p, I can immediately see difference because it becomes a little bit easy and a bit out of focus.
Mm.
I don't know because that was some of the things that people like got hands on with the Xbox Series X kind of complained about, and like, hey, the UI it looks kind of out of focus and fuzzy.
It might be a problem for some people. I think for the vast majority, I honestly think they couldn't tell the difference.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
distant.
Who is sitting that close to their television? Let's be real here. Are you a maniac? Are you sitting all day that close to your TV? What?
Well, if they keep the wire short. Oh wait, everything is wireless now.
But like I'll give you an example. I play Call of Duty Modern Warfare with a few friends of mine, and for some reason it feels like we can see more when we're far closer to the TV. Because when I'm sitting laid back on the couch and I die, it's probably something mental that you're like, oh, I didn't see him. And then when you're closer to the TV, it feels like you have more of an overview. So it sounds really funny or strange, but yeah, it actually helps.
Oh no!
Yeah,
He's the one that does it. He's the one that leans in.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, but for me, honestly, like, I think what Microsoft does more than anything else is creating a good UI, so I don't really have to worry about that their UI is ever bad. Even with Xbox One, the early days of Xbox One, even though like some options were really difficult or weirdly placed, I still had a good overview that they would likely be in settings or in the store or what have you. PlayStation has been really over the place with their UI design. I think, and this is a real hot take, I think their best UI design in the last 10 years was PlayStation Vita.
Huh. That's interesting.
Really, with the bubbles?
Yeah.
It's straightforward. I'll give you that. I'm not gonna say that it's the best UI that they had.
I like that.
I mean, it's better than the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 design.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because with
it's not a high standard. Don't get me wrong.
But like with the XMB, you knew where to look because it was
yeah, but it was too focused on side option onto side option onto side option. With Vita, everything in settings was straightforward and laid out to you, and all the bubbles immediately told you what they are. And if you would go to the preview screen, you will get a series of options that immediately goes to the option that you immediately wanted to.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, the XMB felt like a flowchart. You were just, I can understand. Yeah.
And I'm sure not everybody will agree that the Vita design was the best one they had in the last 10 years, but it's, for me at least, it was the most straightforward and the stuff that I wanted out of it.
Yeah, for me, it was the 3DS. Not gonna lie.
Well, it was
super simple.
I was purely talking about Sony, but
yeah.
If you're talking about
honestly, dang it.
I mean, like what I like about the PS5 UI is that it doesn't take you out of the action. It really acts as an overlay. Because with the PS4, that's my hugest gripe, that it kind of ruins the experience because it takes you out of the game. Mm-hmm. Whereas here it's just like this clean overlay. It really reminded me of in-game XMB. Just a simple overlay, and I think you can turn off a lot of things because people were like, yeah, but I don't want to know about the activities because it might spoil things for me. And they have said that there are a lot of things you can turn off. You don't want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really nice that they're taking a game-centric approach and saying, okay, it's a simple overlay. It's not taking you out of the experience. Same goes for the picture-in-picture.
Right.
That's by the way, a really cool feature. You can just, you can just, in a way, keep on playing without constantly getting that PS4 stop. That's something I really
dislike. I am curious if the picture-in-picture works with like co-op multiplayer games, because if that works with co-op multiplayer games, that's really awesome, because I can see something like doing Warzone where you at least have one of your friends snap to the side and watching along with them.
It
and
technically
coordinating
could.
Even better.
Here's why. Because if you are in party chat and you have somebody else who is sharing their screen, you could still do picture-in-picture, so it would be technically totally possible.
Then my question then becomes how many picture-in-pictures can you have?
Yeah.
Because they didn't show that. They only showed one, for example.
Yeah.
Would you want multiple? Because does that not...
Well, if you're in a squad, wouldn't you?
But I have to focus on my
Yeah,
game,
you always have to
and I have
focus
to
on your
focus
game.
on three
So
other screens. So I think it would distract me too much, and then I'll probably die because
yeah,
I'm looking at your screens and like, oh, I didn't see the guy because I was looking at your screen.
Okay, fair. Honestly, it was more of a question of does the PlayStation 5 have the bandwidth to do multiple pictures in pictures, to be honest. But I see your point there. I still think it would be cool because then you can have games that lean on the picture in picture functionality,
hmm
where you can have one player be kind of like an operator, whereas the others, are focused on doing different tasks, and the operator has like an overall view, including
right.
like from your point of view, because there might be someone who appears in the corner of your eye, but you don't notice it. But if you have the picture in picture feature, well, actually, now that I think about it, considering that the picture in picture makes the video small, I don't know if you'd be able to see details that well.
Yeah, it's purely to have an overview of what the other person is doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. I'll have to rethink that one. But game help, that's a thing now, apparently. If
It's locked behind
developers choose for it.
PlayStation Plus.
It's locked behind PlayStation Plus, and it just reminds me of the super guide that that Nintendo had a couple of years ago.
Well, they still do it now and again.
Really? They still wait? What was the last game they did that for?
Let me think. The last game that did that for, well, there haven't been that many games in 2020 Nintendo-wise.
Hmm.
Yeah, the last one was somewhere in 2019 for sure.
Huh. Okay.
Likely Mario Maker 2, if I think about it now.
Oh, right. That did have super guide. Huh.
The story mode in
Yeah.
Mario Maker 2 did have a super guide, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, game help. I mean, considering that developers
The next
have
one,
to.
now that I think about it, the next one with a guide or a guide function is Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I already finished it because I have a review copy.
Lucky you.
Yeah, that's coming out this Friday. If you're listening to this on Wednesday when this goes live, that's like 3 days away. So
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's good. I don't remember. Did that one have? Did the original version have?
No.
Like super guide? No, it didn't.
No.
Okay. Well, since this is more like a developer based thing, I'm wondering if there are going to be developers. I mean, I'm going to assume that there are going to be developers that are not going to do it, because if they have a story focused game, having game help. Well, they say that there won't be spoilers in it. It's just to guide you into the right direction of wherever you need to go.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there are going to be developers that are going to take full advantage of that.
I can imagine that it's in the interest of the developer to use the system, because through game help you will be able to show off far more of your game to someone than not. I mean, if game developers put so much time and effort into their games, and this is a really nice tool to get kind of an appreciation for it and show it to other people and have them maybe explore complete parts of the game they might miss on because they're on a very specific path, and this way they can either maybe find out about mechanics or get reminded of things, or I think the potential for it is pretty huge. The question is how easy is it to implement, and maybe in the beginning they'll probably experiment with a lot of things, and eventually you'll get this fixed formula that everybody will use, and then yeah.
My question is the following: What would the incentive be for a developer to put that much extra time in to make videos and screenshots for every part of your game to make game help possible?
Huh.
I think in the long run it might be. I don't know if
Because
they
here's
would
the
want.
thing: I understand Sony games would do that. I understand why. I don't understand why third-party games would do that if they want to game that game experience pure.
Well, I don't. Okay, for example, if they were to do a new Dark Souls game, I seriously doubt that From Software would use the functionality to do so, because the whole point of a Dark Souls game is, learn by experience. That's also why they have the hint system be very basic.
What if they want to pull in more people into Dark Souls?
Yeah, but I don't think that is their intention of creating a Dark Souls game. Like, the Dark Souls game is being very much involved in the world and not knowing what you're doing and learning from their experiences. I think putting in game help in such a game would destroy that experience.
Okay, so basically any kind of game that would be story heavy or focus on skills would most likely not be implementing game help. But I do see stuff like platformers where they showed off the Sackboy game, Sackboy Adventures.
Well, not
That
even
makes
that.
sense because
Was
it's a
not focusing on
platformer.
mechanic. It was purely focusing on finding like the collectible costumes.
Yeah, so I think for stuff that does collectibles, that would make sense. I don't think it would make sense for example, a fighting game that to have game help because I wouldn't even know how you would
Yeah,
begin to implement something like that.
you can't anticipate on that stuff.
Yeah,
I think we'll just have to wait and see. It feels a bit. There's huge potential to it, but it feels kind of like when we started this generation that the console manufacturers started to have developers add your mobile phone as an overlay to the game experience, so that you could in showed it off with Watch Dogs that you could have someone else play and support you, or on Battlefield 4 you would have the commander mode and they could drop rockets and they could give you care
Hmm.
packages and stuff like that. So and eventually it kind of bled out because they realized people aren't really waiting for that. So
Right.
they have to pull it off right, otherwise this will become the next mobile thingy that eventually nobody uses.
This is what I call the sequence of lost gimmicks.
Uh,
So every console, no matter how big or small it is, have something they really tout at the beginning, and then immediately you lose a year after. If
yeah.
anything on PlayStation 5 is going to be in that line, I sadly think it's game help.
Mm.
it's possible.
If it takes away from development time, I can see that happening. Yeah, yeah.
Remember HD Rumble?
Yes, because oh man, I had to replay a game recently that uses HD Rumble really well, and I'm like, why are there no more games doing that? And I think part of it is because most games that are coming to Switch is because they're all ports of older games that
It's
don't
not even
have that.
ports, it's also games that I build up for Switch. It's like it takes extra development time to make that function work well.
But now you have PlayStation 5 with haptic feedback, which is basically the same thing. So, are we going to have games on PlayStation 5 not use the haptic feedback on that?
Likely.
Because because if they because now you have two systems that cover it. It would be way better in their better interest to use it for both two systems over, not at
Mhm.
all.
But doesn't the
So,
Xbox One already have haptic triggers?
nope,
I
it does
thought that
not.
was one of the things they touted because there's also rumble in the trigger itself. So they think Microsoft
Wait,
said
they
it
did?
somewhere. Yeah, they said they already have haptic triggers because Sony already had haptic triggers ready for the PS4 Pro, but they said we're not going to do it in the Pro because we don't want to kind of divide our audience. So that's why they kind of pushed it over to PS5. I think that was one of the selling points of the Xbox One that they had haptic feedback in their controllers from day one.
I do not have an Xbox One controller, so I have no idea.
I do, but
It's also interesting how Nintendo pioneered like the very press in um, L and R buttons with the GameCube controller. They immediately rolled it back with Wii U, and Switch, and now
Yeah.
Xbox and PlayStation are both doing the more centralized haptic feedback trackers.
I found an
Uh,
article really quickly on the Microsoft site dating back to 2013, in which they say impulse triggers. Xbox One's wireless controller supports four vibration motors, a small one behind each trigger that adds precise haptic feedback to the fingertips, and a large one in
That's
each
true,
trigger
yeah.
for larger rumbles. Yeah, so I thought like, hey, you already have it there.
huh.
You
I
can
don't
I
know.
never
to be
used it.
completely fair, you can feel it a bit more in their Elite controller than the regular Xbox One controller.
Yeah,
Ah,
and the
okay,
regular
so
one.
that means
Yeah.
that they probably didn't have like sufficient motors put in like the original controllers then.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Sony has constantly touted haptic feedback as constantly giving specific examples around. You can feel the tension on a bow. You can feel the curb on a track with a race car. So they're giving really specific examples, but they're all for Sony games. And I've even read an article in which the triggers some said that you can feel raindrops through the triggers, or you can your triggers can even jam up when you're playing a shooter and your gun jams, the trigger might jam. And I'm like, yeah, but doesn't that cause people to think that their controller broke, or won't they inadvertently break the trigger because they think something's wrong?
Hey man, do you know that you can feel how many ice blocks there are in a glass on your Nintendo Switch Joy-Con?
I don't have a Switch, so I honestly don't know.
And I don't have one to switch, so I haven't tried that yet. But I have played other games that do utilize the HD Rumble really well, and it's really cool. It's just there's not enough incentive for developers to like
Shame.
invest in that kind of
Yeah, it's a
development, which
shame.
is a shame, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So outside of the UI stuff, there was a firmware update for PlayStation 4, which people got really upset about. Not for the right reasons, but they still got upset about it anyways.
I think it's two-part because the update has been in beta testing for a while, but as soon as the update rolled out, Sony changed one thing and they said when you join a party, for example, the audio in the party can be recorded. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, memes were flying around on the internet and they were like, oh, Sony's listening in, or Sony can ban you now, or whatever. So they quickly rectified it by saying, okay, this is just a tool. We will not record your sessions. We cannot listen in. This is more a tool for you as the player to, if you're playing an online match and you're experiencing grieving or hate speech or whatever, you can record X amount of seconds and then you can submit it to Sony, and then their moderation team will take it from there and they will listen to it and check if there's any required action necessary, which is in a way a good feature because I've mentioned in the past before I play Call of Duty Modern Warfare Online, and I generally don't go into game chat because when I am in game chat and even if I lose one match, then people start saying the worst things, and I'm like, wow, this is exactly the reason why I avoid game chat because I just don't want to hear all these things, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Well.
the second part is they've changed the way how parties work, and at the moment it breaks the experience because basically what you have to do is you have to create a group, have to add people to that group, and then you can just jump into a party. Whereas before you could just say, I want to party with Maximilian and with Daan. Go. It sends the invite. You get the invite. You all can join, and we can just chat and play. Whereas now you need to make sure that you're part of the group, or
Right.
sometimes the groups don't show up. I've had that before,
Mm.
or you get a lot of notifications.
And if you want to add somebody to a group, you just have to make a new one.
Yeah, which is the most craziest of all.
Yeah.
Huh.
And what
Weird.
makes it worse is that the friend list doesn't load correctly right now.
Yep.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played my PlayStation 4 in a while. So wow, okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And in a way, I think it's because when you saw in the PS5 UI video, you saw the a part where the person that was presenting it, they had friends and jumped in a group or in a voice chat, and he just got a pop up, a notification, and he could instantly jump into that voice chat. And I think on the PS5, it's thought out more, or there are more resources to make it a little bit smoother. But I think they want feature priority, and that's why they kind of did it on the PS4 as well. But kind of doesn't work on the PS4. Sony has said that they're looking into the issue, so that they're happy that people
Yeah.
have spoken up about it. But it just
Oh boy.
really just ruins the experience right now.
Oh no.
It's not good.
No.
And the thing is it didn't pop up in the beta, or people didn't experience this issue in the beta because everybody said like we've been testing this for a long while.
Right.
Why wasn't this tackled in the beta? That's one of the reasons why you do a beta.
It's almost like Sony doesn't know how to do UI design until PlayStation 5.
But like I think that traditionally, and I've said this before, traditionally Sony is a hardware company, whereas Microsoft has this sweet spot where they're able to combine both hardware and software,
Oh
giving
yeah.
them amazing results. And because Sony has been traditionally a hardware company, they make amazing hardware, but they always drop the ball when it comes to software, and that's kind of been their Achilles heel for these past few years, and hopefully it will become less of an issue. And then,
So here's always how I looked at it at the free companies, right? Microsoft is a software company first. They have more prowess now in hardware design thanks to the things that they make with Surface and everything. But for the majority, they are a software company. Look at how they make their PC software, what have you, and also the Xbox software. Sony is a major player in hardware. Look at the stuff they make, including cameras and what have you. Nintendo is a toy maker. They've always has been. They make joyful experiences that everybody can enjoy for the most part, except for the stuff that they make more for the more hardcore audience. And their hardware always gives off this grandiose nature. It might not be the most hardware prowess because they stepped away from that since the GameCube and more focused on their toy side, but it's always looking fun.
Yeah.
I think it came out this week. I think Mario Kart Live or
Yeah, it came out last.
Yeah, that came out.
Yeah.
So
that came out this week. Yeah.
I follow this channel on YouTube. Maybe you know it. It's called Linus Tech Tips, and they have a video do around that. So I saw it yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is just perfect. This is amazing because growing up as a kid, everybody wanted like this controllable car, and now they've, in a way, with AR, they've gamified it, and it's just cool. It looks really good from a like a toy perspective. It really looks A grade. I saw it and I thought like, wow. And they're selling it for I think $99.99 or like €100. And I thought like, this is genius, Nintendo. You just I see this being the next holiday this Christmas. This is something that all the kids want under their Christmas tree, probably, and they'll just play this with all their friends, and with of course 2 meters or meter and a half distance, of course. But this is like the perfect holiday toy for kids this generation.
But even their games like give off that feeling. They make grandiose toys.
Yeah.
And I think like all the companies have their strengths and weaknesses. I don't necessarily think that I prefer one over the other. But you always need to focus on their strengths. But when their weaknesses come out, say with this PlayStation 4 update, it really shows, and it's annoying as all heck.
Yeah.
Because it's also distracting away from the PS5. They're kind of on this wave riding, and it's all exciting stuff. And then you kind of get this gut punch where you're like, oh, but you dropped the ball with the PS4 update.
Yeah.
It also kind of doesn't help that they've been still mostly quiet and only now like starting to trickle out information.
I think it's been a planned move because I've said it a gazillion times. I eventually got fed up with all those developers talking about how amazing that SSD is, but Sony literally didn't have to do anything from a promotional point of view because everybody, let's say the first 6 months of this year before we got the PlayStation event or the specs event for what Mark Cerny did, everybody was talking about, oh, the SSD of the PS5 is so amazing. It's going to enable us to do this and that. And Sony basically just sat there and like, this is just free promotion for us. We don't have to do anything. Everybody's talking about PlayStation. And then Microsoft did a couple of those events where they invited people over to their headquarters. Kind of it shifted towards Microsoft, and then Sony did their hardware event. So I think that's been the theme this year, that Microsoft has done a lot, but the few things that Sony have done have been of a higher quality level. I mean, I heard more people talk about the PlayStation showcases than the Xbox live webcam stream event that kind of disappointed everybody.
Well, here's the thing. I think that Microsoft has been more open with their next gen stuff.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Basically laying out a plan, and that means that they have a lot of moving parts. They didn't focus on one thing or another. They sent out their consoles relatively early. They ensured that everybody knew what's up, and they kept everybody in the loop, like added monthly basis, not even monthly. I think by 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
They have been also taking the first shot at say, look, these games are definitely there on launch day. These games will definitely have an upgrade day one. These are the games that are playable. And they constantly roll out updates by every week to ensure that every game is compatible. So they're actually actively checking their games. So Sony takes only certain moments, and I think those moments cause a gigantic uproar for sure, but then the following weeks after that, they go completely silent.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's what, for example, the DualSense reveal was one of those things that just came out of the blue and caused an uproar. And after that was, you said it was a bit quiet, and then people were like, "Okay, we've seen the controller. Now show us the box because we really want to see the box." And I mean, from a transparency point of view, you're absolutely right. Microsoft has been, and I have to commend them for it. They have been playing this really smartly and really nicely because
Yeah,
I think they won a lot of people over because a lot of people are expecting because the PS4 sold so much this gen that a lot of people will automatically just go for a PS5. But I think Microsoft did some key things to win people over, and it might be like in a really interesting holiday season.
I also don't think that Microsoft's big shot during this generation is the Series X. I think it's the Series S. Because that it is very competitively priced at €300 or $300, and you can basically see it as a Game Pass machine where you eventually buy games for, or now and again.
Yeah.
I'm getting a Series X, and I'm also getting a PlayStation 5 because I believe in console gaming, and I think it's important that they're there. But at the same time, if you're trying to be very cost effective, I see nothing wrong with buying a $300 or euro Xbox Series X and getting all the value out of it that way.
I just wonder in that case that counts for the digital edition of the PS5 as well. Isn't it only appealing in countries where, for example, the internet connection is of a decent quality that people will be able to get those games quickly because we kind of live in this time that immediacy is key. We want it now and fast. And I kind of feel that the One S is the One S. Yeah, the naming scheme is really the Series S feels like this upsell console saying, yeah, you can buy it for cheap, but you live in a country where you have data caps, or you live in a country where the internet is not reliable, and then people automatically say like, yeah, but
Yeah,
I need reliability, so I'll just shelf out 200 more and get the Series X.
there definitely will be people who feel that way, and I completely understand that. Also, the option of having discs is also an important thing. I think in countries like ours in West Europe or very well densely packed areas in the United States like Washington State, California, New York, I don't necessarily think there it's an issue. And I think there, like especially for low income households or some that are more cost effective, I think the Series S could make a major impact.
Yeah. Plus, in those countries, they also have the all access option, so
Yeah.
they don't have to buy it right away. They can
That's
just
true.
do it on installs.
All access is
Kind of wish they had that here.
yeah, that is such a genius move. All access. I really don't understand why Sony doesn't do that. I don't know if it's interesting for Nintendo, but all access is genius.
I think it has to do with the fact that they have to partner with a bank to do it. So,
Right.
doing all the logistics there. They already did that with the current generation, with the Xbox One and I think the Xbox One S, that they were that you're able to do that with. So they already have that experience. They already have that partnership with whatever bank that they're working with to do that. So I think if Nintendo or Sony wanted to do something the same way, they'd have to partner with a different bank, and that's a whole different logistics thing that they probably don't want to get into anyways.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody is kind of predicting because of Microsoft's huge focus on Game Pass. In the long run, they will win this generation because they will just hook everybody to an Xbox game or a Microsoft game. And I think that All Access plays a huge part in that. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah. Speaking of data caps, though, we haven't talked about our good friend Google Stadia in quite some time. And this week alone, they've released 2 exclusive demos. One is for Pac-Man Mega Battle, which is a Battle Royale Pac-Man game, and the other is for Immortals Phoenix Rising.
They also released the worst creative director of all time.
Oh,
Oh
do
wow!
do we want to get into that one?
Sure, why not?
Because that hot take. Oh wow.
He was
You need
so.
to.
I don't exactly remember the take, but it was something like, "Oh, streamers and content creators should pay a fee to cover the games
Yeah.
that developers and publishers are releasing." It's like, are you that dumb?
Yeah, it kind of went past me, so I saw it circulating yesterday or the day, but
I'm gonna look up the exact quote now.
Oh, he got roasted on Twitter for that
He
one.
got ratioed really hard.
yeah, and I think
Really.
Google even distanced themselves from the guy, and I think the guy
Yeah.
you basically just be going away probably soon. And I think
If they don't let him go, I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if they don't let him go because you're just insulting
Okay, here we go.
like your entire creator fan base.
Here's the exact quote, right? Streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact that they're streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. The real truth is that players should be paying developers and publishers for the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use.
Mm,
what
okay.
what
So, a lot of a lot of things that he mentions is just crazy. I mean, even oh man, seriously, because because this all happened because of what Twitch has been doing by removing people's videos that have music playing in the background.
Yeah, and YouTube has also been more YouTube manual um, manual tracking system has also been more active as of late.
is it also maybe because Twitch wants to push people towards they have this system they're about to release, I think, with game soundtracks or something like that. I've
Yeah,
seen.
they released
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah,
maybe they
yeah.
want to also push people
Well,
towards that
once
system.
again,
Well,
it's also YouTube, so it's not just Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no, because it was a reaction basically to the music industry. Where like, hey, your platform is having music on there that we didn't sanction and that didn't pay for it to use. Talk about like not understanding fair use.
Yeah,
And it's not like we haven't been through this before. I mean, we've been through this before with game footage where people talking over it, like doing let's plays and stuff like that, or doing video reviews, that they were being, they were also being either demonetized or having their videos being deleted because of that. But that all changed. I don't know what the music industry is doing now because you have music streaming. Like, get off people's backs. They keep doing this every decade. Like, I don't think there's ever been like ever since the inception of like sharing music on the internet, the music industry has always been. I don't want to use that word. Has always been very stuck up about having music being used fair use wise for free in
I also
quotes.
think they have bad experiences because they look at, for example, at the time when iTunes came around, they made a deal about selling their content online, and I think they feel that they didn't get the true value out of it, and that they kind of signed a deal that they felt wasn't maybe best value. And when you're looking at streaming services now, I mean, nobody wants to do this combined streaming service because everybody wants a lot bigger, a larger piece of the pie. Because they're like, hey, but look at what happened to music. We don't want to end up like music, so we want bigger chunks of this pie.
Yeah, I don't know.
but
The music industry has always been weird.
But going back to the comment at hand,
Yeah.
I just think that's not really how the promotion of games really works. Because the beauty of the promotion of games is that people pick up games at random or as they're slowly getting interested in different things, or just trying because for the sake of doing like new things on their channel. And as they discover things, they will cover the game intensively, and through that, people or developers get their promotion in. Um, kind of forcing that by hand will also make it less likely that they will discover things on their own and start promoting things that you might not know. Um, so having, especially for smaller games or games with a budget, having those content creators baked in is so much more important. For example, let's take Among Us for example. That game was already out 2 years before it blew up again in 2020. If that one big streamer didn't pick it up, it wouldn't have caused this gigantic wave of other streamers and other content creators making content on it.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny part of the matter is the dude works for Google, who owns YouTube. It's like, why on earth are you? Is that the right expression to use in this case? Why are you trying to bite the hand that feeds you? You know?
Yeah.
Because you have content creators. They literally do this stuff for a living on your platform, on your company's platform, and you're basically saying, "Well, actually, I think that they should be paying us, or at least the developers." Go, yeah, wow.
Yeah, and
again,
the head of YouTube Gaming, Ryan Watts, said then the following: "We believe that publishers and creators have a wonderful symbiotic relationship that allowed a thriving ecosystem to be created. One has been mutually benefited everyone. YouTube is focused on creating value for creators, publishers, and users. All ships rise when we work together." So basically, screw that guy, he said.
Yeah, I think the guy's on his way out. He won't be working for Google for a long time anymore after this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a really out of touch take to have there, but yeah, people, there are all kinds of people in the industry, aren't there?
Anyway, there were demos.
Yes, there were demos. I don't know if any of you guys played them. I played them for a little bit. The Pac-Man Mega Battle is a battle royale, as I said before. It's
how does a battle royale
do you have
Pac-Man?
Well, you know how Pac-Man has these gates on the side on the wow, I forgot the word for maze. On either sides of the maze, upside, up, down, whatever, they have these timed gates where you can pass through and get through other people's mazes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, you're still eating pellets. When you eat a super pellet or a power pellet, you're able to eat ghosts as always, but you can also eat other Pac-Men. Yeah, other Pac-Men in the maze. If they don't have a power pellet, so they'll die and then they'll respawn. You have, I think, 3 lives per game, and then it's game over, and then you can spectate or leave. So yeah, it's really weird. There's a lot of customizability, by the way. You can customize your own maze and your own Pac-Man with, accessories and stuff like that, that you can unlock. It plays like Pac-Man. Except there are, I don't even know what the player count is on that game. But yeah, it's weird. It's fun. It's Pac-Man. You kind of can't go wrong with Pac-Man for the most part. Played it with a keyboard and mouse, so it's just 4 arrows, so it's very easy to play. If you want to play it, again, it's free on Stadia. You don't even need to have a pro account for that. The same goes for Immortals Phoenix Rising, which
I played it.
It's pretty much what you expect from what you've already seen, from what you've either read or heard from people. It's a lot like Breath of the Wild. If Breath of the Wild was set in mythological Greece,
I literally I said
narration.
If it's made by the same team that made Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So if it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Breath of the Wild had a baby, that's literally Immortals. At least it feels that way. That Immortals Phoenix Rising is basically that.
It looks fine. It doesn't. It has a nice art style. I can't really speak for the controls because again I was playing on a MacBook without a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So that offered a bit more of a challenge to play.
Let's dive into our
Um,
next segment because I also played.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Don. Did you play?
No.
Were you able to play any of these
No.
two?
I don't even touch Stadia, so.
Don't worry, we don't either. But for this one, I was like really curious about how that was gonna play out. So just touch it out. Plus, I was also more curious about Immortals, anyways. In terms of how it plays, again, it almost felt like riding a bike. If the bike was a little bit weird. But yeah, I kind of hope that they'll release a demo for other platforms as well, because at least then you can play with a regular controller and not have a problem with that. A few more things that we want to touch on before we go to the next segment, because we had some really unexpected news drop from Nintendo, because apparently they like just dropping stuff on us and just saying, "Oh, here's this, and have a nice day, bye." Because they did that with Fire Emblem. They just dropped this trailer with an announcement. Nobody knew what it was about, and then you watch the trailer, and they are bringing out a localized version of the original Fire Emblem on Switch.
Here's the funny part: this announcement was leaked 2 hours beforehand, but almost nobody picked that up.
No, seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't. Wow, I didn't even.
I retweeted when that happened. So Nintendo's Korean website already leaked it. Plus the price and everything. I already knew that was happening as soon as that trailer dropped. It's like, oh yeah, so that's the confirmation, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the price of it, if you're buying it digitally, is like what, $5?
It's $6.
Yeah, $6. But they also have a 30th anniversary edition,
only
which looks
in America.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Good grief. I think I'll have to ask someone to like get it for me then. But
Same.
Wow, that set looks so amazing. Like the things that are in there is like, yeah, I kind of want that because that's a really beautiful collection.
Yeah, so if you don't know, because we have been kind of moving around this issue, it's the remake of Shadow Dragon and Blade by Light, which is the original Fire Emblem game that released in 1990 on the original Famicom. They're giving that for the very first time a translation. I'm saying for the very first time because there was a DS remake of Shadow Dragon, which we didn't get either.
Well, I think it was only in the US.
No, we didn't get it at all. No.
Wait, really?
No.
It was Japan only?
It was Japan only. And even then, they cut half the chapters in that game. So we're getting the full game now for the very first time.
Oh, man. The only thing that I don't get is why the Famicom version? Because they also have the Super Nintendo version that just was released on the Nintendo Online service, in Japan at least, where they have the remake of the original one that came with the sequel to that story. I feel that like that would have been a better choice, but I understand why they chose to do the Famicom version. And it seems to be like a fresh localization of the text.
Yeah.
They added a bunch of cool features to it with
like
bookmarks. And fast forward, you know, the feature that was in more recent Fire Emblem games where you can turn back turns, which is really handy, and also speeding up the animations so that you can go through the game a little bit. The
problem that game is still kind of, in a lot of ways, still rudimentary. Like I would say the original Famicom version is still very enjoyable, better than a few others that came directly after. But in a lot of ways, and how you resolve all the strategy and how the maps are concerned, it's still really harsh and really down to that Famicom-esque challenge. Which is why they likely included bookmarks and everything. But still, at the same time, it's not an easy game. I played it in Japanese I have most of because I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. I have most of the original Famicom games in mint boxes.
Oh wow! Cool.
So I have them not here, but in in my um, in my room, in my sleep room, not in the office, in my bedroom. Um, but um, but it's there. It's they're so difficult game. They're incredibly difficult, and they don't really take any chances on you. They don't give you a lot of leeway to make your own decisions like the more modern Fire Emblem games do. So it's a lot of stuff that you need to keep in mind. It's very rudimentary strategy action. It's good. It's still
Yeah.
very enjoyable, but don't expect the game to give you any leeway whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious to see because because this is going to be a game where there's a lot of outside of the stuff that they added, there's still a lot of quality of life stuff that was added later into the series that are still not in this game.
No.
So I wonder if newer fans who pick this up are going to enjoy it as much as they think they might.
Yeah, here's my problem. So a couple of years ago, they remake the second Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Gaiden, into Fire Emblem Echo: Shadows of Valentia, which was a tremendous remake. They did everything in their power to make that game give more leeway and make it more enjoyable. Um, I wonder why they didn't just make it into another Fire Emblem Echoes game. Because
I think it.
because it
Well, I think it's more because Echoes was they said at least specifically when they announced that one is that Echoes, if they were to continue that brand of Fire Emblem games, it would focus on games that um are outside of the original timeline, or games that never came out of
I don't
Japan.
think that's what they ever said though.
No?
Well, no. When they said Echoes, Echoes is a way for us to bring back Fire Emblem games that didn't give the attention it deserved. And I will say that obviously
Okay.
the original Fire Emblem game got a lot more attention because it was the first, obviously. And
Yeah.
it's part of the main canon together with Marth.
Yeah.
That being said, most of the world never played that game before, so who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of hope that they'll still do more echoes.
They should.
I honest like one of the games from Fire Emblem that I would really like to tackle is Thracia 733.
They should have done that.
Maybe? I don't know. They should have done that instead because I think if they did that in the Three Houses aesthetic, I think people would be like all over it.
Or the Shadows of Valentia aesthetic was also pretty darn good, to be honest.
Yeah, that one also looked really good. I got pretty far into that one, didn't finish it quite yet.
Yeah, but the way they changed up because Fire Emblem Gaiden was such a weird game with the dungeons and stuff, and the way they adapted that to a modern 3DS game was actually really impressive.
Yeah.
And I think doing that for like other games in the series will be equally impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, here's to hoping to that. But at least this holiday season is full of interesting, weird, and surprising stuff, at least coming from Nintendo.
And it's going to be out for 4 months. What the heck?
Wait, seriously? I missed that one.
Yeah, it's a limited release until 31st of March 2021.
Okay, there's something going on after the 31st of March for Nintendo.
Yeah,
because
it's the reset of their financial year. That's what's going on. They're just making everything poof disappear on like all the Mario stuff and this Fire Emblem translation on March 31st because it's the end of their financial year.
Can we like put out a petition or something for Nintendo to stop doing that?
Like I really don't get why they're doing that. Like honestly.
Neither do I.
It's a game that we've never played before. Why should that only be available for 4 months?
Yeah.
It sounds like they're, and I've said it before, it's like they're kind of artificially forcing people to, I wouldn't say forcing people, but they're like artificially jacking up sales because they're like, oh, you can only buy it for 4 months, and then a lot of people will buy it more.
How do you
because-
jack up sales on a digital game? Don't do that.
by basically making it exclusive for 4 months and then just taking it away.
Oh no! The same thing with Mario 35. That makes no sense.
I don't know why they're doing this. I mean, why would you release a game for a couple of months and then just take it off?
I mean, it's not like Nintendo has not done this before. They also did it with a DSiWare only version of of Four Swords from Legend of Zelda. The
they did.
multiplayer game. They only made that available during the entire Zelda anniversary, then it made it disappear again.
Why?
Mm-hmm. Well, at least that was a year, but still, it still makes no sense for them to do it because
it
it was a
wasn't a year,
digital
it was
only
8
game.
months.
Wait, that was 8 months?
Yeah.
Oh wow. What is time?
Well, what is time in 2020 anyway? It's like an illusion.
Exactly.
Time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Still though, I don't get that. I don't get why they keep doing that. Especially if it's a digital only thing. Like, what's the harm in letting it ride?
Yeah.
Especially considering that most Nintendo titles are always evergreen titles. People will always pick them up no matter when.
Yeah.
Can I at least just say that it's really cool to see you both talk so passionately about Fire Emblems. I mean, I don't play those games on Switch, but for an outsider, it's really nice to hear you just being passionate about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap up news segment for that because it's been a pretty long one. We're gonna go on to the next segment, so stick around, and we'll be right back with what we've been playing. And we're back with the second segment, as always, what we've been playing. I want to give the honors to our guest today, Daan. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a number of things. First of all, I finished Crash 4. And my lord, Crash 4 is really gosh darn good.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really surprised by that. I obviously had hopes that it would be good because the developers who made this Toys for Bob have experience in making platforming games. So it's clear that they gave it to a competent developer. But the sheer ingenuity of that game, how the levels are designed, and the things that you can do are so much fun. They have tons of variety of characters that you can play next to Crash. You have the masks mechanic, which allows you to do various little things in the environment, like change up the gravity, allow for more higher jumps, and in some cases you even switch between them for like really insane moves. And even if you complete all the levels, you have then a second run where they completely changed up the way that the levels look for like these really interesting designs. For example, in one level it's all shadows until you very close walk to them. In another, it's completely fluid in color where it's going all over the place. And it's so much fun. The only thing that I honestly didn't really enjoy as much are the boss battles. Compared to the levels, I don't think they are as intuitive as the rest of the game. Doesn't necessarily mean they're super bad or anything. I just think they're the low point, and for the rest, a pretty flawless game in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. What do you the characters, because you can play as multiple characters. You can play as Crash. You can play as
Dr. Cortez. Yeah.
Dr. Cortez. Dingo Dial.
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting his sister's name. Why am I coming back to Tootsie in my mind? That's that's Banjo's sister. Dang it, I forget what the character's name is. Do they feel like distinctly different to play?
Absolutely. For example, yeah. Here's the thing. Like for example, Doctor Cortez can change all his enemies in like cushions which you jump off on, and Tuana actually use a grappling hook.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a character, and I don't want to spoil it because it's such a cool moment. It has like this Luigi Mansion like vacuum sucking machine.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I
so
can see that.
there's so much. Once again, there's so much ingenuity in how that game is designed and how you set it up and how enjoyable the levels is. Obviously, there's still a ton of collecting because it's a Crash game. You don't necessarily have to focus on that until you really have to. And I rather do that. Like I rather let the actual design of the level sink in, and I think it's far more enjoyable that way. Like if I would go purely for collecting everything, I don't think I would have as much of a good time with it. But because I'm going for the motions and enjoying what they created in the levels from moment to moment, it's so good. It's so good. But it feels like a total package, and I think that's the purity of it. Like some games, you're arbitrarily focused on getting certain elements to get to the end of the game. Here, it just feels all natural, and everything just doesn't feel like filler. It's a platform game through and through, and honestly, that's what I really enjoy about it. Like from a technical perspective, how the levels flow, the quantum mask mechanic where you have different abilities from time to time, it all makes for a very appealing package. And I honestly feel like, and this is just my opinion, I think it's the best Crash game.
Wow, that's a big thing to say, considering that there have been multiple before. Like, is there? Okay, so before Crash 4, which one would you say would have been your favorite at that point?
I think Crash 2.
Huh. People really tend to say Crash 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just that it's interesting to see, because that means that to a lot of people had probably the best gameplay and the most interesting designs, like level wise.
Right.
Which is good. Because you want your at least your sequel to be more interesting than the first game.
And they've been honestly on a roll lately with how they remade the original 3 Crash games with Crash Tag Team Racing, and now this.
Yeah.
They've been really making strides in making Crash feel important again, especially with making a game that's so well polished like this. Like I cannot say anything bad about it. It's a really fun game.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, there are 2 more things. First of all, let's start with Mario Kart Live.
Oh wow, you picked it up.
I picked both versions. I played them with my dad over last weekend.
Oh, cool, because I haven't heard anybody talk about the multiplayer aspect of it. How did that go?
You just connect 2 switches together over local communication, and you just race against each other. One person can make the track, and the other person doesn't have to do stuff. So the thing is, with Mario Kart Live, you can make a track around your house with 4 gates scattered across everywhere, as long as it's in range, which that's a pretty good range, I say. So you make a track around your house or an open space, and after that you just race against one another on those tracks, which has so once you made a track, you can put in various overlays that are based on Mario Kart tracks or Mario entities, and there are in total 24 overlays in total. Which changes how the gates work, which items will appear, which enemies you fight, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And there are some really crazy ones in there. Obviously, you have the usual ones like Rainbow Road, Moo Moo Meadows, that sort of stuff. But you also have one that's based on the 8-bit Mario games. It's literally called World 1-1. Where all the sprites and everything is just based on the original Super Mario Bros. 1-1 level. It's so goofy and well pronounced. It's really well made, and all the coins are made into 8-bit coins, so what have you. It's super fun.
How's the feel of it? Like in
It
terms of playing
honestly
it?
feels really good. It feels immediate. So how the card and Switch connection works? It's so usually when you do local connection, it would make this local Wi-Fi signal. Um, it makes one between you over Bluetooth with the card, and then the Wi-Fi signal is used for local multiplayer. So it sends out basically two signals at the same time, and for some reason it just really holds up really well. Like the action between the card and the Switch is pretty immediate. It makes it more difficult depending on the CC you use. So it goes all the way up to 200 CC. 50 CC is the way that people should play first and see how they get a feel for it. Because at the first moment, it's pretty distracting to look both at your screen and at the card where it's writing. Because obviously, when you look at the screen, you can also control the items and everything. But the first two times, you also always feel the need to look at your shoulder and see what the card is doing.
Nice.
But no
It's
matter
that
what,
Nintendo magic,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But no matter what you do, like no matter if you do it from the screen or from the card, there's barely any lag there. Like it immediately feels immediate. And I think that's the most magic thing about it. Like the latency between the card and the Switch is almost non-existent.
Yeah. Wow.
Is it the car rechargeable battery, or do you should put in batteries?
It's a rechargeable battery, so it uses the same USB-C connection as everything else on Switch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How long does it last, or have you been able to?
On 200 cc, it lasts about 2 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
It lasts an hour more if you do it on the lowest difficulty, so 50 cc. Yeah, I usually get your fill in those 2 hours, and then you charge it again for the USB cable and Switch, so it's fine, you know. But yeah, I've been mostly just playing it with my dad, who's a big racing buff, and we're just having the greatest time making stupid tracks.
Nice.
I hope you didn't have pets that were kind of like, what's going on here?
At the beginning we did, but then we moved to a different area, so we didn't really have to take care of them anymore.
That seems to be the general consensus, because you see a lot of people have cats or dogs, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on here? Why is this little thing running around over and over again?"
Yeah, and I think it's also pretty cool to really see like people making custom undergrounds for their Mario Kart tracks and laying some cool designs out. But we've just playing straight up, putting all the ports down, making like a little corner so we have to ride our carts through them, and just having a blast making that all happen. So it's a really good time. Mario Kart is just simply magic. It feels weird to play, and it's weird how it works. But it's a lot of fun when you put it in motion.
Is it a way to share the tracks, like upload it or something? Or
No. It's
No,
purely
it's
it's purely made for a local multiplayer experience, right? So you can share the tracks if you are together in a multiplayer match. So only one person has to make the track, because basically when you first have to make the track, you have to go for all the gates and then go back to the beginning. It has to be a loop, no matter what you do.
Kind of like a formation.
Yeah. But once you finish the track, it sends out a signal to the other maximum of other 3 racers, so they already know that the track exists.
Wow, it sounds really cool and impressive from a technical point of view, what they've been able to pull off, because I wouldn't expect it to work so smoothly, mainly because in the past, when you were growing up as a kid, it would take hours to charge the batteries.
Sure.
There would always be hit and miss, and this just sounds well thought of and time. But it's it gets me excited, and excited Nintendo fan out there.
Yeah.
The final thing that I played then is the second Pokemon DLC.
The Tundra Crown.
The Crown Tundra.
Yeah, Crown Tundra.
Which
haven't picked up the DLC yet, so yeah, how's that been for you?
So, the second map is mostly a snowy-based map based on the highlands of Scotland. But it's very interesting. So, this DLC is focused on 2 important actually 3 key areas. The first key area are Dynamax adventures. So this is a series of max raid battles. So you fight with up to 4 people in the same lobby, and you, instead of one battle where you go into a den across the overworld map, you go into a series of battles where you use a rental Pokemon, not your own, a rental
Oh.
Pokemon, and try to defeat a series of Pokemon opponents, which ends in a legendary Pokemon battle. So a Mewtwo, or a Palkia, or one of the big legendary ones.
Yeah.
Along the way, you can exchange your Pokemon for the ones you've captured along the way, or at a scientist that will give you the option to swap your Pokemon right there and then. This is very technical, because you need to decide along the way what's your best option. So you only know at the end what the typing is, so flying, psychic, or what have you. So along the way, you have to pick up maybe a Pokemon that has the appropriate moves that can defeat them. Which it takes a lot of planning in that sense. You can do it with free AI controlled players, but I prefer to do it with actual humans, because they usually make somewhat smarter decisions in which Pokemon they use and how they move along across the map.
Yeah.
So that has been really fun, because basically they brought back every legendary from the previous Pokemon games. So you can basically take your own time with it, take your strategy, and have a lot of fun. And also, if you don't necessarily want a legendary or want some of the other Pokemon you captured along the way, you can do that too. It's always up to you, because you can only capture one each legendary, but you can capture endlessly of any other Pokemon that you can catch.
Oh, okay.
So it's a risk reward thing, which is very nice. If you played it enough, there's also an option to unlock a endless Dynamax Adventure battle, which gives you a lot of a currency that you can use to unlock special items and what have you. So if you just purely want to go for the experience, you can do that too. The second part is that there are specific legendaries on the Crown Tundra map. Obviously, you have over 80 Pokemon that return from previous games to catch on the main map. But there also are legendaries, including the Reggie Ice, the Reggie Steel, what have you. And there's the choice between 2 new Reggie Pokemon that they never made before. Oh. There's a Dragon and there's an Electric Reggie now. And from a competitive standpoint, it seems that the electricity Reggie is already broken.
Wait, broken how?
It has 200 base speed.
Whoa. So wow, oh, that's...
It is now the speediest Pokemon, even speedier than the speed form of Deoxys.
Okay, so I think I see banned Pokemon in the future of Pokemon tournaments.
Yes! And the other Pokemon is a dragon, which I got because I like the design of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've seen some screenshots of that one. Is it the one with the dragon head on the side?
Yeah.
Oh, that one is cool.
Yeah. Then there are the 4 Spirit Warriors from Black and White. You also have a new deer legendary, which is pretty cool, which rides on a horse, and there are 2 different types of horses as well. There's a ghost horse or an ice horse that you can choose from.
It doesn't depend on which version of the game you have?
No, you have to
Ooh, nice.
plant a carrot at a specific spot on the map, and that's how you decide which one you get.
Okay.
And then they have also Galarian forms of the 3 legendary birds from Red and Blue, the original games from Red and Blue, which have new typings and everything. And Zapdos is basically Chocobo.
I saw that. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie. Those are my favorite additions that I'm looking forward to when I get the DLC. Because back then, the legendary birds really carried me through the Indigo League. So it'd be nice to have them back in the game and having to train them all over.
Funny enough, the regular versions of the legendary birds are in Dynamax Adventure, so you can get both.
Ooh, you can have a whole because because that makes 6 versions of them.
Yeah.
Wait, am I saying that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
6. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have
So
an
you can
entire
have a whole
party of
team of
legendary birds.
legendary birds. Nice. And I think because of their typing, they should be able to complement one another.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and then the final part, next to the entire exploring of the map, because there's always other Pokemon to catch. Then the final part of the new DLC is called the Galarian Star Tournament, which allows you to play in double battles with any character you met during the main adventure or the 2 DLC parts. At the first time you play it, it's very story driven, so you only have the option of like 3 different partners you can choose from. But as you then complete it, you unlock more partners to play with, and you also get continuous rewards for trying it again with different partners.
Okay, that's
Uh,
good.
and the first time you finish it, you get like $1 million Poké Dollars or something crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's actually that's a good incentive.
but yeah, there are also for subsequent playthroughs, you also get like a bunch of additional balls. Like the first time you played first time you played with a different character, you get 100 additional Pokeballs.
Yeah.
But so there are incentives to keep you trying with different partners and see what the dialogue options are, what have you. So it's really fun. The DLC is actually very enjoyable. I think it's far better than the first DLC pack, to be completely frank with you. And with all the stuff they've added and the fun stuff that you can do, especially Dynamax Adventures in the Star Tournament, is a really good time.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Sean Templar, what have you been playing?
I haven't been playing a lot, so I've played my usual Call of Duty multiplayer
Hmm.
uh, Warzone. I played a match of Warzone. Warzone has this Halloween update that's been brought out, so it's all around content, and you have these known Halloween characters, or like horror movie one called Leatherface, and
Mm-hmm.
the character from
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that one.
The puppet from Saw is in there. The one that says, "Hey, do you want to play a game?" He's in there. You can play as a character, skin if you want. It's cool that they've added a new Warzone mode called Warzone Zombies, I believe. So then you play in the map. The map is the Verdansk is in night. If you get killed by an enemy team, you turn into a zombie, and then you either have to kill enemies or enemy players or recover kind of a vaccine. So you can, if you collect 2 of them, you can come back as a human. So like these antivirals that are floating around. So if you collect 2 of them, you get respawned as a human character again, and you're back in the game. Or when you're a zombie, you get taken out by enemy players such as guns. Then it's game over. No gulag. No thing. You can just spectate. The funny thing is, it introduces a funny mechanic in that if one of your teammates turns into a zombie, well, you can't shoot him because he's your teammate, but he can kind of help you because he has extra abilities. He has this super high jump. He can cause an EMP shock. He can throw gas mask, and he has a gas, and he has a UAV that's constantly on, so he can see where all the players are. So basically, what we do is when one of us turns into a zombie, we're steering our team through all those enemy players and saying, "Okay, stop. There's a group here, so you need to go the other direction." Or, "Hey, maybe you should go into that direction, or wait, or there's an enemy there." At the same time, they're also trying to get back into the game. But it adds a different kind of experience to the game. It's a timed event, so it expires in 10 days, I believe, and there's some really cool skins and blueprints and unique things you can get for your weapons and characters. There's some more content in there. We've just played this one. It's limited to 3 players, whereas normally you can do 4. Um, so I've played Warzone. It's really fun. We also, by chance, won another match in Warzone. So we were just casually playing the first match, and it turned out to be a Warzone victory. So we were completely surprised and happy, like, "Oh no, we won!" Because I mean, if you played Warzone, you know it's really hard to win. At least if you played casually. So that was really nice. After that, we lost everything. um, yeah, so I've been playing some Warzone, and I've also been playing Mortals Phoenix Rising. I found out actually today Stadia demo is there, so I just thought, oh, let me hook up my PlayStation controller and see if it works. Funny enough, it works. So you can just plug in your PlayStation controller, the game shows all the PlayStation controls as well. The controls don't make a lot of sense. I mean, for example, R1 is a light attack and R2 is a heavy attack, whereas
Huh.
I would rather have it be like kind of with God of War, square or triangle maybe. That would make more sense. I haven't found a way, or I haven't looked at a way to maybe revamp the controller, so remap it. So I don't know if it's in there or not. I'm using the normal version of Stadia, so it's at 1080p. Looks okay.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not.
can remap your buttons. I did that for the keyboard.
Oh, nice. That's
So yeah.
And as I said, it really feels like this combination between Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild. There's even a stamina meter when you want to climb on things, because they've basically put the Assassin's Creed parkour system into that with a stamina meter, so you don't climb on top of everything. Really Breath of the Wildy. I
Okay,
mean,
but does it have towers?
I don't
I
know,
don't
because
know.
that's the funny thing, because there's a pretty big chunk of the map you can go to,
No,
and
there is one tower. There's a hub where you go off to the different parts of the map.
I haven't
So
been.
there's one, and it's a central one.
It's a Ubisoft tower, everybody.
Now that you mention it, I don't think I can play a Ubisoft game anymore without this train of thought with towers and constantly looking out for one. So thanks for that, Don.
Towers and constant checkpoints. That's the staple of a Ubisoft video game.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like the game so far. I
Hmm.
just don't know if it will be. I mean, like fighting the enemies, it's not really a hard challenge. I played on normal, and I've yet to die as a character, so it feels like the characters are just the enemies are just standing around waiting to get killed by you. And it's funny that the game kind of mocks itself by that. Um, Basically, the story is that you are a immortal, and you end up on an island that's basically kind of like Olympus, where all the gods are and where everything's happening. And then the game is narrated by Zeus and Prometheus, which are gods, of course, in ancient mythology, that are basically telling their own versions of how things happened. That they're constantly mocking each other and making fun of things. It is a unique take, I would say, but
Hmm.
um, I don't know if this is one of those games that. I mean, it's coming out in December. It's coming out in a pretty crowded period. So I don't know if this game will
Well, it
get.
comes after the crowded period, to be completely frank.
Yeah, but like I wonder if it's coming out December 3rd, I believe. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we're getting next gen consoles, getting games for those next gen consoles. I wonder if people will have money to spend on this game after they've bought a next gen console and Spider Man
I mean,
or
it's also coming out on Switch, and Switch owners, while they also have games in November, I still think they have some money left in come December.
for Switch owners. I think it'll be an amazing fit. I just wonder if it'll
Yeah,
be if it. I mean, like if you're a current gen gamer, you don't plan on upgrading.
there are plenty of
Maybe,
those because it's already sold out. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, you still have Assassin's Creed
Wait, it
Valhalla.
is?
You have Watch Dogs
what?
Legion.
Like
But
Immortals is already sold
no,
out?
no, no. Next gen consoles.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if you have to pick one game, you can buy this holiday season. Would you
Right,
go for Immortals or would you go for Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Watch Dogs Legion?
right. To be fair, we're also the type of people that pick up multiple video games a year, and
Yeah,
that's even a rarity in that sense.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so I that's why kind of think, will people buy this game if they can only spend their hard-earned €60 once, or if there are other known
Yeah,
franchises
and
out
the problem is we also live in a world where, like, once again, games like God of War and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild already exist.
Yeah.
there? So I think this game would have maybe gotten more of its. How do you say that? I think it would have made more sense to release this game in a January or a February, maybe in kind of like a
Maybe.
lower period. Then it might get the proper exposure.
Hmm.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, it's fun to try. We'll have to wait and see the
Yeah.
Right.
review. And besides that, I've been playing Among Us again. I played a few matches throughout the week. I played one yesterday that I've told Maximilian this, that I played with a specific group, and one day we were playing a couple of matches, and 3 or 4 matches in a row, I was the imposter. that kind of hurt my credibility. So now every match, something funny happens or odd, they automatically accuse me,
Mm-hmm.
and 9 out of 10 times I get ejected, and then I turn out to be the crewmate. And so yesterday I was playing a match, and I was the imposter, and I made a kill. I'm running around, and the kill gets reported, and somebody says, "Hey, I found this body in storage," and another person automatically says, "It's Sean Templar. He did it. I know it." And I'm like, "What? Why? Based on what?" So I really, really had to put effort into it to kind of throw that suspicion off of me. And then I said, "You know what? It's pretty sus that you're constantly talking. You're constantly saying with full doubt, with full, without conviction that it's me. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's a self-report. I mean, that's possible." And then eventually they
Um,
voted him out
hmm.
as well, which completely turned the game. And then I won the game eventually by pulling off a kill. So
My problem with Among Us now is that people know what my current strategy is. So,
ah,
so when I'm the imposter, I struggle to figure out what to say. So I need to figure out my dialogue tree as I go along while playing as the imposter role. When I am a crewmate, I can immediately mention the last 5 tasks that I did, so everybody immediately throws their suspicion away.
ah,
Yeah.
I
So
tried
during
that.
my last imposter run, which was on Monday, I I basically did the same thing I would do as a crewmate, and basically list like, so you have this list of fake tasks. I would keep those open and would do it the same way I would do normal tasks. So basically throw any suspicion off of me the same way I would usually would. And I won 3 out of my 4 imposter rounds. Let's go, baby.
Nice.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, that was basically the tip I was gonna give. So like, do what you do as a crewmate while you play as an imposter, because that's. Or when you're together with somebody and you're the imposter, don't kill them, because then they'll say like, "Oh, but hey, he could have killed me, but he didn't." So you kind of create that
Mm,
trust. That
yeah,
really worked as well.
totally.
Yeah.
And besides that, I think, yeah, I mean, this is pretty nostalgic. I was cleaning up some stuff, and I found my old Sony PSP, and
Oh,
it still works, and the battery is still just working fine. I'm surprised. And I had Gran Turismo in it, so I played a few races of Gran Turismo. And then yesterday I was out in town, and I saw this used product store. So I'm like, let me check what they had. And they had Killzone Liberation and God of War, Ghost of Sparta. They were both €1.50
oh,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, and I wanted to buy Metal Gear Acid because that's the first game I played on PSP. So it's one of my favorite games on that. So I asked the guy like, "Hey, do you have it? It says on the site that you should have it here." And he said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he looked, he couldn't find it. He said, "You know what? You can buy Killzone and God of War for €2 combined." I'm like, "Hey man, thanks." So I played some God of War on the PSP, and it's it hasn't aged well. It's completely different than what I remember when I bought the PSP, because
hmm.
at the time it was amazing. And I mean, you can't compare it to anything now because we have Switches and 3DSs and all those things. And I mean, the screen is super small, so you have to hold it really close to your face. And I'm like, wow, yeah, when I had a Switch, I could just comfortably, relaxedly play this, or hook it up to my TV, dock it, and play it. So I've been going down on this nostalgic memory lane trip, which is really fun. I still hope I can
So,
find them.
so the moral of the story: get a Nintendo Switch.
I'm gonna be
He's had
honest.
it twice, by the
I've had it
way.
twice. Yeah. I mean, the only, and maybe you can help me out with this. My issue is that I love Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's the first Zelda game I've ever played, and I love it. I've never finished it, but I love it.
Hmm.
But as soon as I got past, eventually, like, I want to try other stuff. And then all the other games that was looking at, it was already available on PS4, and it was cheaper on PS4, because I don't know
But
why, but
you buy a Nintendo console for Nintendo games.
I know. But I mean, I'm not a huge. Some of the games just didn't appeal to me, so it was like I need to find a way to.
Didn't they appeal to you because they didn't look nice from a distance, or you didn't try them?
They didn't look like from a distance. Like, the only game I might have wanted to buy is Luigi's Mansion, because that I played on the GameCube.
Here's the thing that I learned from playing video games for this long, is that you need to get out of your comfort zone. If you're dedicated to buy a console, you should try games that maybe you didn't know you wanted to play, but you should look into them nonetheless because they might surprise you regardless.
That's a really good point because I've been doubting to buy a Switch Lite maybe the last few days, and I've almost done it. Like, okay, I'm gonna buy Switch Lite, and I'm not gonna buy Zelda. I'm gonna buy Mario Odyssey, for example,
Yeah,
and Luigi's Mansion. So I'm like, I'm on the border of doing it, but I'm
yeah.
kind of saying like, yeah, but I'm afraid.
But I do this on all consoles, not just Nintendo, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you would, because up to 5 years ago, and I will be completely honest with this, I never played a first-person shooter.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, even skipped GoldenEye 007, the Wii version, because I was just not really into first-person shooters. That's the truth about it.
The original.
No,
What?
Wow. Okay.
I
What?
only played it 2 years ago.
Oh my
Oh
god!
wow.
That
How
game
was
is
what was that like? That
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah.
It still felt pretty interesting. I quite liked it. But here's the thing. Back then, I was so focused on Pokemon and Mario. I didn't see anything else.
Yeah.
And then since like 2006, I gradually expanded my horizons, I feel. And it has done me so good because there's barely a genre of video games that I actively dislike now. Like, if people say this game is good, it's like, okay, I'll try it. Fine. Okay, fair enough. Is it free to play? Then I will try it immediately. If it's a small price, I will put it on a wish list. If it's like $60, we'll wait for a sale.
I mean, I've had an Xbox in the past, and I've had a Switch in the past. It's generally the reason why I like PlayStation games is that games just appeal to me more because they're also pretty diverse. And it feels like I kind of feel guilty when I had a Switch that I didn't use it that much, so it was just lying around there. So I kind of
That's fair.
yeah, I had this guilt trip like okay, but I have a Switch, it's brand new. I haven't played Zelda on it, and now I haven't touched it for 2 weeks, and that's kind of the reason why eventually I just thought like okay, but it's a waste of. But I mean, you're absolutely right. Maybe I should try games out of my comfort zone. Thanks.
Yeah, and I say this as a recommendation to anybody. It doesn't matter which platform you play or which you prefer. You should try playing games that don't necessarily appeal to you, but you haven't really tried before. Because I always struggled with first person games. I struggled with it for the longest time to see the appeal of them. Especially first person shooters. The rest first person games I did play. I just didn't see the appeal of that particularly. I did play a lot of third person games, like I played a lot of Gears, for example, but for some reason I couldn't get into first person games. And I think that games like Mirror's Edge, for example, like really changed my mind about that. Yeah. And I recommend, like, if you never tried a certain genre before, try to at least try a game that's really good in that genre and see if it appeals to you. Because at the very least, you will have that experience, and experience makes you wiser.
Yeah. True that.
Okay, but since we're both Nintendo guys, Switch Lite or normal Switch?
Oh, that's a toughie.
Hmm.
That's actually a really tough decision, actually.
I haven't been able to get a definitive answer because I know like you can't dock one.
If you will play on a Switch, how much would you play on a television compared to handheld mode?
The funny thing is I don't know any better. That's the thing. I have a PS4 Pro and I can only do that on the TV, so I don't know any better. I mean, when I had the Switch, I would play some in bed, but I would also hook it up to the TV. So I'm afraid I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna miss that docking.
Do you play, like, at least back in the day? Did you play like a lot of games on portable consoles on your way to work or to school or whatever? Because for me, for example, during it's really weird to say, but during the Wii U era, the 3DS was my go-to, like, for everything. Even though I owned a PlayStation 3 and later a PlayStation 4, that was my go-to for like a really long time until the Switch came out. And there were, like, the 3DS has a lot of great games, and the Wii U had a lot of great games. Unfortunately, nobody played them.
Yeah. Well, they're
And
mostly all
the
on
PlayStation.
Switch now for the most part, so...
Exactly. So at least they got a lease on life. But for a really long time, I was a portable gamer, and that's one of the reasons why the Switch really appealed to me. To have the ability to play wherever you want, and
Right.
it's still like that console experience.
Mhm.
So if you feel like you're a console gamer and you'd like to play things on your big 4K TV screen, I'd say go for the regular version. If you feel that you'd probably be playing it more on the go, I'd say go for light. Yeah,
I think that's a very diplomatic answer.
that's I don't know what to say. I mean,
Diplomatic.
because I've only seen the Switch Lite in person once, and I feel like the screen quality is not as good as
I
on the
think it's a bit
regular.
more crisper than the regular Switch, to be honest.
You have a Switch Lite?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a bit crisper.
I have the Pokemon edition.
Oh, I saw that one. I saw that one on sale, like at a resale
For
store.
podcast listeners, I'm showing it right now on camera.
Oh, that looks really nice.
Oh, it really is nice.
Okay, do you use it often, or do you use?
I use it very often, yeah.
And do you, maybe I don't know if you can ever miss when you're using it. Do you miss it to hook it up to the TV, or is it more?
Not really, no, because I totally see it as a portable console. So once again, it kind of depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't played handheld games in years, and maybe because I'm used to. The thing
Well,
is,
yeah, you said I didn't play it in years. You recently played a PSP.
yeah.
I see flawed logic. I will point it.
That's good. That keeps us sharp. But I have this.
You saucy fended an electric.
No. I was just put my task in the storage, and the one task that. The thing is, I think it's a thought I have in my mind that if I were to buy a Switch Lite, I might miss out on the TV experience. But then maybe
That's
again,
true.
it's that comfort zone thing you're mentioning. Maybe I should just commit, say like, okay, but this is a portable console.
Right.
This is the only way I can play it. So I should accept that this is the way to play it, and then I won't have that afterthought like, oh no, I could only hook it up to my TV. Because when I used to play handheld games, for example, on my PSP at the time, I would just lie on my bed and play it in bed. So
That's
maybe
true.
I should kind of get used to that idea again.
There's also the rumor of like a Switch Pro next year, so we also need to take that in consideration.
I'm should hold out for that. I don't know. It's just so
Maybe.
much.
It's difficult. I know it's difficult.
I mean, I have a PS5 pre-order, so I mean,
I think you should focus on that first.
Yeah, maybe the Switch games don't go anywhere, right?
Yeah,
Like
except
this.
for those 35 edition games that go away in 4 months.
Well, you could buy that collection on a cartridge and already have it when the moment you get a Switch again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did with Persona 4 Golden. I got that, I think, a year before I even... No, not a year. Maybe less than that. But still, I had played Persona 4 Golden on Vita for a really long time before I actually picked up a Vita. So.
Well, at least you've given me some insights. Thank you for that, Dan.
No worries at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what I've been playing. So what did they say? I released the remainder of my time, or
yeah, I'm just gonna go quickly through what I've been playing because it's not been really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing Spider-Man again a little bit more through remote play, which I finally was able to get my controller, so it's a way better experience than playing with the back touch panel on the Vita. I also played Taiko no Tatsujin again on my Switch.
Nice.
Because they released I think it was a 1-year anniversary playlist with some really fun anime songs that I played back when I was in Japan, like in 2018 on the arcade version. I was like, oh, I was missing these songs. So it's $5. Downloaded it, played it, I had a really fun time. They added a bunch of new features because I haven't picked it up in a while. There's this versus mode that they added,
Yeah.
where you play against either the CPU or a second player, which is really fun. Because you can send junk to the other person's
They added
drum line.
They added the battle mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the regular co-op mode was already there, but they added the versus mode now. So
Yeah. And playing those new songs was really fun. Testing my dexterity with it a bit was fun. It took me a while to remember the controls for it a bit, because I'm playing with the buttons. I tried playing it with just the Joy-Cons and motion control, but for some reason it's not registering as it should. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if there's something wrong with my Joy-Cons.
I usually play it either with the drums or with the Pro controller.
Oh man, I tried to find the drums. I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's still fun with a Pro controller regardless, or within the regular control scheme. Yeah. Especially if you put it in the higher difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of my like gamer dreams is to own a Taiko no Tatsujin arcade machine and just load it up with all the songs that they ever put out. Because I'm gonna be like that was one of the more fun times I had in Japan, playing that. Going to a Sega club and just playing that for like a half hour, playing different, mostly the same song, trying to perfect it, and then moving on to the next difficulty.
Nice.
So I've been playing that. Yeah, that's kind of basically what I've been playing. So I played a little bit more of. I tried season 2 of Fall Guys. And the new mini games were just so off the wall, and
literally you had to cling on walls.
Oh, I didn't get that one. Luckily, I haven't run across that mini game just yet. But I've heard a lot of people are not happy with that one, or at least it's way more challenging than anything that they've done beforehand,
which is good.
Is good, but the grabbing mechanics in that game feel really weird. I mean, I've talked about this before. For example, the grab the tail mini games that you have in it feel really annoying because you're just chasing that one person around the whole time and they can't grab them, and then you're trying to grab them and you miss.
Try to cut them off.
I am very bad in trying to predict how people move in that game, so it never works. I'm like,
hey, guess what? Here. The arena is literally a circle.
It is a circle, except I don't know. Maybe it's my weird one track brain that doesn't allow me to do stuff like that or something, or think it through. But yeah, fair. Yeah. Outside of that, I also played the demos that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. I will say one thing about the whole banter between Prometheus and Zeus. Zeus is a dude, bro, like a full-on dude, bro. Because whatever he says is like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, that was a minotaur. Oh no, wait, this was a bunch of roosters. Like, wait, what? Why did you go from Minotaur to like lion and like manticore and whatever, and then suddenly end up with roosters? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm Zeus. So I think part of the appeal is going to be that the banter between Prometheus and Zeus on that game, because I think that's going to be like a really cool driving point. And that's basically what I've been playing. Cool. So sit tight, everyone. We're going to do one final segment, and we'll be right back.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to our last final segment. We're bringing it back, the hidden gems.
Hidden gems.
I was waiting for you to do that. Thanks. So, Maximilian, what is your hidden gem?
My hidden gem, I think people have at least heard of this game. Unless they don't own a Switch, which in that case I don't think you've heard of this game. People know me as an RPG guy, and I like to play a lot of different kinds of RPGs, even though my go-to is always JRPGs. This one is an interesting RPG because it's a golf RPG called Golf Story. It's a Switch exclusive, wherein you play a character who gets into trying to play golf, play a golf tournament, and the whole game is literally played by playing games of golf, either regular golf lanes or I think there are a few places where you play kind of like a putt putt thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going around with your golf club because you want to be like the best golfer, and they're like, no, you can't be the best golfer. You suck. And yes, when you start off, you kind of suck. But the whole point of an RPG is to get better, level up. And you can do that, and you have different missions that you can play. There are a whole bunch of different levels that you can play through. So you start off, on a regular golf course. You then end up in, for example, also a place that has spooky vibes for, those Halloween vibes, if you want to play that as well. But there's also one place where you play and you play on a beach where they're playing volleyball. And you're still playing golf, by the way, on this volleyball beach. They're weird. They're places that people are just playing volleyball. They're playing golf, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Okay. You can do golf frisbee in this place. All right, let's do golf frisbee. And the mechanics change a little bit for it to make sense because you're playing with a frisbee instead of with a golf club. And it's the story is really funny. The writing is really good. So I recommend it on the writing alone. But the gameplay itself is also really good. If you've played any kind of modern golf game on any system, it uses, of course, the meter where it swings back, and then you have to hit the sweet spot to hit it dead center or a little bit off to the left, or to slice, or a little bit to the right to lob or whatever, or put on some spin on it as well, which is really cool. I mean, it plays like a golf game, but you can level up. You have characters that you interact with. There's even a part of the game early on where you go into this dude's mansion that has this big TV screen, and it plays an 8-bit version of the game, where you're playing an 8-bit version of a golf game. And it's basically the exact same mechanics, but it's all in 8-bit, and it's all in game. And there is a story related reason why you can play it, but afterwards you can play it whenever you return to that mansion and play it. So it's a really fun game. It had a lot of initial buzz when it came out, because it was in the early days of the Switch, and the early days of the Switch had a lot of weird games. But yeah, that's the Golf Story is one that stuck with me, and it's getting a sequel that is focused on multiple different sports. So not golf, but also I think that one is like soccer and volleyball, and I think two other sports. It's called Sports Story, which is also coming out.
I'm going to shake my head and you calling it soccer instead of football.
Gosh darn. Sorry, my weird random Americanness came out again. I don't know what's happening today. Yeah, but you can play football. You can play volleyball. I think it was football, volleyball, and two other ball-related sports in it. It's not out yet. I think it's coming out sometime next year in 2021. But at least you can pick up Golf Story now. It's not that expensive. And it's a very extensive story to play through. So if you want to play something a little bit different, we were already talking earlier about playing something out of your comfort zone. If you want to play something out of your comfort zone, then Golf Story is at least one way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, no problem.
So Daan, do you have a hidden gem?
Yes, I do. This is called The Gardens Between. It's a available on all platforms, I believe. Think PC, PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox One. That sounds about right.
Mhm.
So this is you don't necessarily control directly the characters. It's a single-player puzzle adventure game where you manipulate time back and forth and interact with objects to make certain events happen. So the two main characters, which are Arena and Friend, I believe, move across this circular puzzle where there are certain objects to interact with, and there are certain paths to take. And if you change the way that the objects move about, or the way that these objects interact with the world, you can adjust how these two characters walk to the top. Um, Along the way, you have these vibrant, like island-like landscapes that are like basically filled with like objects from your childhood, and there's even a level where you like play on a game on an NES where basically an object jumps into the television. There's also another object where you basically um, try to move these water guns or what have you through a certain for a certain area. So there's different aspects to everything that you do. Along the way, there's a very touching story about like the friendship and the memories that you made along the way. And honestly, the way that you manipulate time to solve those puzzles is insanely clever. Um, they are not intrusive, but they are challenging. Like you need to find out the threads that hold everything together, um, and that sometimes might not be very easy to do because um, sometimes the option or the solution that you're looking for is insanely well hidden. One of the early levels early on is basically made with these old school computers, like printers, this these count machines, and you basically have to type in a certain number code back at the beginning. So you have to go almost to the end and then back at the beginning to type in a certain number code that allows you to lock up the certain path to get yourself to the end. So there's a lot of variables there, and I think it's very fun. It's insanely clever and well made, but it takes time to adjust to its surroundings.
Cool. I've seen it in I've seen it pop up on I think at least one or two Nintendo Indie showcases, and I was really looking forward to that. But for some reason, it fell off my radar. Again, that's why we used to do hidden gems. So thanks for that. For that, so thanks for letting us know. I'm like even looking more forward to it, playing it more now,
Cool.
because that's literally like one. I tend to like playing weird games or games with very unique mechanics because for me, gameplay is everything.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this just reinforces yeah my will to play that game. So I'm definitely going to check it out later.
Hmm.
Thanks.
Nice.
Cool.
So Sean Templar, what is your hidden gem?
My hidden gem is a game that I talked about earlier as in playing. There's a game called Days Gone, a PlayStation 4 open world survival game that I'd call it. It came out last year in April, and it is basically. Have any of you ever seen the movie World War Z?
No.
Yep,
It's
once.
it's basically a game version of that. So you play as Deacon St. John, who is part of this motor gang, and there is a virus that breaks out into the world. Um, I finished it this year, and it kind of closely resembled the feeling that I had with the things that are going around in the world right now. Because there's a person in a lab that gets is exposed to this virus, and he goes to a convention. He infects other people there. It goes
Uh-huh.
around the world. There's a pandemic, and before you know it, everybody turns into a freak. Basically, a zombie-like person. So you play as Deacon
Wait,
St.
are you
John.
saying that the virus deniers are the freakers?
You mean like the COVID virus, or?
Yeah.
No. But it felt. Oh no. It just felt so strangely familiar because you're like, hey, this is maybe how the world is. No, it's like, I'm not gonna go into that before we start. I'm making this worse. Back to the game. So yeah, so the game is set in Oregon, I believe. It has this huge open world, a lot of different environments. You start out in a foresty, mountainy environment. You're basically trying to survive with your buddy. He was also on a bike, and you have these smaller settlements with survivors left in them. You can do missions for them, and then that way you progress more in the story. A cool mechanic is that you have a bike which you use to travel around with, and you also have to, for example, maintain the bike, put fuel in the bike, because otherwise it runs out, you can't escape. You can upgrade your weapons, your bike. You can craft weapons, baseball bat, and nails make a spiked bat. So it's really cool. I know that when the game came out, it received some mixed reviews. Um, some said it was feeling like a movie that lasts too long. Um, I personally liked the game because it just kind of had a different take. A lot of people compared it to The Last of Us, but it is something completely different than The Last of Us. A bit more action focused, where The Last of Us is a bit more story and stealth focused. One of the cool parts is there are hordes in the game of freakers, so they're
Mm-hmm.
hibernating in caves or they're hibernating in certain areas, and then you just randomly walk into them. And if you create too much sound, they all just try to swarm you. And I can tell you, it is super freaky when a huge swarm is chasing you because you never have enough ammo or enough weapons to kind of beat the horde. So you have to come up with creative ways to force them into choke points and then throw molotovs at them or grenades or whatever. The story did take a surprising twist for me. It is not basically it is not a typical story for me at least. The further you get, the more of different environments you see. You eventually come contact with this military faction, which is super organized, and they have this almost like a cult, and they're trying to take back the world, killing one freaker at a time. And at the same time, there is this organization called Nero, who is basically conducting research and trying to figure out if there's a cure for the freaker virus. Um, yeah, I mean, I spent quite some time into the game, and I would definitely recommend it. The game has sold well enough. I kind of do hope that Sony will consider a sequel, but who knows? Um, yeah, that's basically my um, hidden gem in a nutshell. The game is coming to the PlayStation Plus collection. So, for example, if you pick up a PS5 this November, this is one of those games you'll just get for free if you have PlayStation Plus, and you'll be able to give it a second lease on life. So, try it out, I'd say. And if you have a PS4, try it out again because it's try it out still because it's a really good game. It's one of those kind of
I believe it's also on PlayStation Now right now
yeah,
till
it's also now.
January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so if you have that free 2 weeks trial lying around, use it. There's a lot of games in the PS Now. But yeah, that's basically it.
I'm sort of burned out on games featuring like zombie-like creatures. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Days Gone and then State of Decay on Xbox don't give me a lot of confidence in like I want to play this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I played the State of Decay a couple of months ago. The second one, it felt similar. There, where State of Decay has less of a story, at least for me, and less of a story, Days Gone fixes that part. But they are what you say. I think the Last of Us kind of set the bar for zombie games and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hard to beat it.
Or The Walking Dead, the Telltale games.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
played those as well. Those are really nice. It takes a different take on the zombie
yeah.
thing. Yeah. I think with that we have reached the end of another episode of Game Rivals. Thank you to everyone for listening as always. Thank you so much to Daan for joining us. You've
Yeah, no
really given
worries.
us some perspectives. I hope you had fun as much as we did. Um,
Seriously, yeah.
everybody can find us on Anchor, which is one of our homes. We're also available on other major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Google Podcast. I think it's called Google Play. You can also leave us a voice
By the way,
message.
the Google Podcasts app is now available on iOS for some reason.
Oh wow! Okay,
Oh,
they're trying to sneak up into different territory. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good one. If you're a Google Podcast user, try it out on iOS.
Yeah.
So you can also leave us a voice message through Anchor. You don't have to make an account for that. You can click on the link in the description. We might feature you as a game rival. You can find us on social media at game_rivals_ for Twitter, at game rivals for Instagram. We have a YouTube channel, which we have the link in the description. You can also email us, gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. Where can people find you, Daan? You want to
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Nintendaan. That's NANTNDAAN. On YouTube with Nintendo, but then one at the end, so Nintendaan 1. I do stuff now for Source Gaming, for GameXplain, and for Commonwealth Realm. If I do stuff for them, I usually retweet them or I quote tweet them, so it's easy to find stuff on my Twitter there. Other than that, there is not. Yes, I'm also on Instagram. Same Nintendo, and I don't post as much on there. Probably should. If people follow me on there, maybe I will be forced to do more stuff with it. But it doesn't seem like many people follow me on Instagram. It's mostly Twitter. But we'll see. We'll see.
We'll make sure to give you a shout out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I have and always will be Sean Templar.
I have and always will be Maximilian X.
And I am the European trash known as Daan Koopman.
And we will catch you on the next one.
Later.